ついてこれるか。
Hi everyone, Nesuart here. I draw for fun and I make videos for fun. And today, well, before I talk about what we're going to be talking about, I have to preface with I have a cold, so if I sound funny, that's why. And the reason I've been away is because I've been busy with uni, you know, and also having to like motivate myself to actually record. And then staying on top of anime that comes out every season is like quite like jarring. But I have to do. So yeah, that's why I've been, out of it. But we can finally discuss my idea for today, which is the idea of found family found in anime. Well, I say anime, but it's also going to be like other stuff. But you'll hear that when I discuss the rest. So the first thing, fairy tale. Now, I know there's a certain stigma that comes with fairy tale, mostly talking about the fan service and the lack of plot, or the idea that there's too much plot, if you know what I mean. But yeah, fairy tale is really good when it comes to making the viewer feel like they're a part of a family. Because the fairy tale guild isn't just a guild that's in the anime. If you watch it long enough, it almost comes to a point where it feels like you are a part of the fairy tale guild. So anything that happens to them, or the struggles, the strife that they go through, you're sitting there just like, I hope they make it through, because that's also your guild. That's the viewers guild. So you're just sitting there just like, oh, make it through, make it through. But yeah, that's the first one. Second one, which is sort of more on the nose, is Spy Family or Spy X Family. I don't know, but yeah, Spy Family. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like the main character Anya, she's an orphan and she gets adopted. Obviously, in the whole conspiracy, but that's besides the point. It's just Anya, Yoru, and my boy Lloyd. It's funny because when it starts out, it's a mission, right? But as the plot goes on, it feels like that they really are a family, which I really love about Spy X Family. And also because it's funny. That's another thing. So yeah, this fun family is it's almost more family-esque than an actual family, if you know what I mean. And it might have to do with the fact that all of this has been chosen. So obviously, in some cases, you can't choose your family. But with Spy X Family, obviously, they're chosen. Well, in some parts of it, it's like out of necessity. But that's not really what we're talking about. But yeah, they're very family-esque, family-oriented, and it's believable. And yeah, that's where Spy X Family excels. Now, on to the third topic, or rather anime, is none other than That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, or Tensura for short. Yeah, slime is... Yeah, the idea of family and slime is actually really good because it starts off with Rimuru as when he's a slime. He's on his own. And then he meets a dragon. And then he takes the dragon's last name. So really, Rimuru Tempest is now the family name. So he makes a village, which eventually becomes a federation. I don't want to get into it because slime is sick, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the family aspect. And all the people that end up joining the village, they have their roles, but it's really just Rimuru's family growing constantly. So it starts with the goblins, then the ogres, then, you know, other goblins come back in from a different area of the forest. But yeah, the forest is constantly growing. Oh, the pigmen as well. But yeah, it's very, you feel that they're a family. Like, obviously Rimuru is the lord there. He's the big, I don't want to say big daddy because that sounds dodge, but yeah, he's sort of the dad of the whole village. Then there are obviously his secretary, who, it's funny because his secretary, I forget her name, but she feels like sort of like Rimuru obviously has to look after her, despite the fact it's her job to look after him. But it's very, yeah, I like slime. The family aspect in the slime is real good. Then the next one is Gintama. Now, Gintama. If you haven't watched Gintama, bro, yeah, please, I beg. It's so funny. I have a friend, I keep telling him to watch it. He won't watch it because it's either too old or he doesn't find the humor funny, but that's his business. Yeah, Gintama. Yeah, the family in Gintama is real good. So we get who starts off as the main character. Okay, editor's note. Jesus, I've been calling Shinpachi Kenpachi because I've been mixing up Kenpachi from Bleach, and obviously the last part of Shinpachi sounds similar, so I've been getting them confused. But I haven't even been saying it right. I've been saying Kin instead of Ken. It's a whole thing. Look, you know who I meant? I meant Shinpachi. Shinpachi is his name. Okay, carry on with the video. Kinpachi. It's Kinpachi, right? I haven't watched Gintama in a while. Yeah, so he is the protagonist at the start. He is losing... I think he's losing his dojo. I think that's how it starts. He needs to fund it. And he ends up meeting Gintoki as samurai. Or he's an ex-samurai or whatever. Point is, he's a samurai doing odd jobs. And then obviously him, Gintoki and Kinpachi, they end up joining together. Then they find a little girl, Kagura, who ends up joining them. So it's all these three characters. They end up just doing odd jobs in the I forget the name of the town or city, but whatever. It's very funny. Gintoki's like... It's funny because Gintoki's role in Gintama, he can play the parent, but he can also play the older brother or the crazy uncle. He plays many roles when it comes to these three characters. And the bottom line is that he's meant to be that reliable force, that not necessarily their protector, but at the same time, yes, that's what he is. He also tries to help them grow, even though it doesn't seem like it on face value. He acts like he doesn't care, but you know he does. And yeah, the family in that is very funny. And obviously Kinpachi and Kagura are like the two siblings that are always fighting. Sometimes Kagura is the older sister, sometimes Kinpachi is the older brother. Their roles flip depending on the situation, but yeah, it's funny. And it's fun to be around them, you know? Like, I've been away from Gintama, I don't know, a couple months because I've just been busy. But I still, like, think about it and I'm like, gosh, I need to get back into Gintama because it's so funny. And the characters are just so interesting. And that's only talking about the main trio. I mean, there's the rest of them, like the Shinsengumi, Kinpachi's older sister, and her situation with another character. I forget her name. She wears an eye patch. Yeah, this is now just sounds like a PSA to just watch Gintama. But yeah, the chosen family in Gintama is very good. Very, very good. I think that's all I want to talk about with Gintama in terms of family. My next one. Now, my next one is a bit, I wouldn't say controversial, but it's not really. It depends how you define chosen family for this next one, which is Fate Grand Order. Now this is actually a mobile game, but I feel the Chosen Family in that is interesting because you are the protagonist and you can summon these heroic spirits, and your role obviously is to save the world from eradication. But these servants, they can play different roles in your family of Chaldea. Some of them can be your parents, with, I forget her name. She wears purple. Y'all know who I'm talking about if you play Fate Grand Order. And then, obviously, we have, what's her name? Mash Krylite, who's like she's your Kohai. And very much you want to protect this character, but also it's her job to protect you because she's the shielder. And then we've got Emiya Archer. He's like a mum, but at the same time he's there to just, these characters, they all play multiple roles, but the bottom line is the idea of family, right? These characters, they're not just people who serve a role to follow you. They're there after a period of time, obviously. When you build their bonds, you have this genuine connection to them, and they're more than just your servants at that point, which I feel if you invest enough time with FGO, you can really get out of that. Again, that's if you're looking deep into it. That's the whole point of this video. And then my next one is Black Clover. Now, Black Clover I only actually thought of today, because obviously this idea of finding Chosen Family came to me in the middle of the night, and I wrote this down, and then I was like, I'll just record the next day. It took 2-3 days for me to finally sit down and record this, but yeah, Black Clover. The idea of Chosen Family is very prevalent in this. Obviously Asta, he's an orphan, like his brother Yuno, and these two are family by circumstance. Then when they join their respective, I don't know if they're called guilds or what, it's been a while since I've watched Black Clover, but when they join their squads, now it's interesting because Yuno's one doesn't really feel that much like a family, but when we follow Asta and his whole situation with the Black Bulls, now that is very much a family. These characters are outcasts in their own families and in their own societies, so then when they join together, they're their own little, family. And Asta is, of course, that annoying little brother with hella potential. He's just there. If you have a little brother, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's Asta's role in the Black Bulls. And obviously Yami is the dad. He's that gruff guy. He's if you know Yami, you know Yami. There's a character I'm thinking of, Noelle. Noelle's an interesting case because at the start of it, she's very much hated in her own family. Stuff to do with her mother dying at childbirth, and also the fact that she looks like her mother as well. And so the siblings, with Noelle being the youngest, her siblings don't really like her, and so she can't control her magic. And she's, like I said, she's outcast in her own family. And what she finds with the Black Bulls is, like, they don't care that she can't control her magic. They're more happy that she's there to begin with. She's just, in the Black Bulls, she's just another outcast that can, grow herself, unleash the potential that she has within. And then ultimately, of course, we know, if you've watched Black Clover, she learns to control her magic better, to the point where she's, I wouldn't say on par with Asta, but Asta becomes that, like, goal or the mindset he has of, like, never giving up, which is very shonen-esque, but it's a very good, I think, feeling and message I think Black Clover has, where of course in Noah's case you can't choose your family. They eventually reconcile, but within the Black Balls she has that support. And yeah, Black Clover is very, very good with the whole chosen family aspect. Again, these are just a few characters within Black Clover, but they get the message across with what I'm trying to talk about. And then now, of course, I'm talking about chosen family, and so with that, there should be an opposite, which is the idea of they want you to think that they're like friends or families, but instead what they give off is the idea of being colleagues. Now, this is very much felt in Naruto. You want to think that Team 7, that they're family-esque, but not really. When you watch it, it very much feels like Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke, they're just colleagues, they just work together, they're not there to feel like a family. And it's very much felt at the beginning, that case. Even when they try to do this whole emotional situation with, Naruto and Sasuke, you want to imagine, or they want to give you the impression that these two are brothers, from different mothers. But that's not really the feeling that you get, and this isn't really felt until years after, or maybe months after experiencing Naruto. Because how long ago have I watched Naruto? Time ago. But over like reflection and time going by, that's how I felt Naruto has been. Like, these characters, they're not necessarily family-esque. They're not chosen family. They're chosen colleagues. And yeah, maybe that's not what they were going for, but that's how it feels. And a similar case happened in Persona 3. Shout out to Persona 3 Reload. But the characters in Persona 3, they don't feel like a family. They're colleagues who have a job to do. Stop the Dark Hour, investigate it, that kind of stuff. And it's funny because it's the only game in the Persona series where that's felt. Well, mainline series. Because when you look at Persona 1, Persona 2, Persona 4, and Persona 5, you actually believe that these characters are friends. Like, they're not just friends, they're family-esque. Mostly in Persona, which one is it? Persona 4. Because it gets to a point where Teddy and Yusuke, they're not just, living together. They end up becoming brothers, where Yusuke is the older brother to Teddy. And Yukiko and Chie, they obviously start off as just friends, and then they have their little spat, but then they're pretty much sisters by the end of it. Kanji is the little brother. So yeah, it's funny because when you think about it, these characters, they go on a journey to better themselves, and as they do this, they become closer, and then through that they see each other as family. But that doesn't apply to Persona 3, which is odd. It's almost like the odd duckling. But then again, Persona 3 is probably the most depressing out of all of them, so there's that too. And then the last one I wanted to discuss is, I think it's probably the most obvious. If I pulled up a list on chosen family, I mean, yeah, it's definitely the most obvious. And that is none other than One Piece. Now, I'm a One Piece fan, so obviously I have, I have this notion that One Piece is that anime. Like but bro, One Piece is fire. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the idea that the Straw Hats are very much a family. Now that is so obvious when you watch it, where you have Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Usopp, Robin, Chopper, new addition Jinbei. These characters, oh, Brook as well. These characters, they feel like a family. We have Luffy, who's the captain. He's the younger brother in this scenario. Nami is that older sister. She's the one sort of in charge of these characters. Robin being obviously the oldest, she can either be the oldest sister or like the mum of the group. Did I say Frankie? I think I left out Frankie. Frankie is the old man here. Same goes for Brook and Jinbei. Now Jinbei's an interesting case because he's been with the crew the shortest time, but in his case he feels like the uncle of the group. Then obviously Chopper's the younger brother, the son of Robin, like, you know what I mean? Like, these characters, they all have a familial role within the Straw Hats. And it's very much felt, even though they've only been together a couple months before the time skip, you still feel like these characters, they have that familial bond. They're not just shipmates, they really are family. And I think that's where One Piece shines the most, especially when if you play the games like the Pirate Warriors series, and because obviously One Piece is so long, you don't have the time to constantly rewatch One Piece. But if you replay the Warriors series like I have, you then get that sense even stronger that they're a family, because you're constantly watching, you know, Luffy going out of his way to save his crewmates, to fight for their respective villages, to fight for their rights, and just all of them joining together. And yeah, it's a nice feeling, you know, like just watching One Piece and seeing these characters actually care for each other. Yeah, I've only talked about a few of these cases. There's many others I haven't discussed where there's a familial bond, a familial relationship, specifically chosen, you know? I mean, what haven't I talked about? There's Yakuza, there's Lilo and Stitch, which is, you know, the most obvious one, like Ohana means family, like, come on.
This is my family. I found it all on my own. It's little and broken, but still good. Yeah, still good.
What else haven't I talked about? There's many others, but these are just a few that I just wanted to bring up. Mostly my favorites. But yeah, that's I think that's the end of the video, really. I just wanted to go on a ramble just saying like why these animes are familial related and how I like them because of it. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.
クールに決まったぜ。素直に I love you 届けようきっと You love me 伝わるさ君に似合うガラスの靴を探そう二人で Step and Go いつまでも深夜12時を過ぎたって君は僕の愛しい24時間